Chief here for CTT. Couple days late. Friday and Saturday I worked hard on my fence line, clearing out some trees and turning it into firewood, and got tired by late afternoon and decided that I don't like to do videos while I'm tired. Today I'm going to talk about young impressionable soldiers and losing one's integrity. Not my integrity, but someone else's integrity that was lost by them to me. It's kind of hard to explain. Integrity is something you don't want to lose. Once you lose it, it's hard to earn it back with your troops. But let's talk about my young impressionable soldiers first. About midway through my career, I finally hunkered down and got ready to become a warrant officer, and by the time I got selected, my two sergeant first classes decided that I should do more platoon sergeant responsibilities, to include formations and stuff like that, and I didn't have to do any of the meetings, which was good. So one Monday morning for PT, first formation of the day, we have street lights that are behind us that kind of give us light to run our formation, where we line up to do the first formation of the day. So I get out there early to stand in front of the formation because, you know, they got to tell me who's president, who's sick, and who's on leave and stuff like that, so I'm not paying attention. So when it's turnaround time to receive the report, I see two beacons. By two beacons, I mean I got two male soldiers that their hair almost looks like it's glowing. Not fluorescent, but just glowing. Not on a natural color, but glowing. And seeing as how we are the last platoon to give our reports, and I gave my report, and of course the first sergeant said, I need to speak to you after PT formation for those two beacons you have in your formation. So, talked to the first sergeant after formation. He says, I need to see those two individually, or those two soldiers individually. And he gave me the times. That was about it. I didn't get my butt chewed as I probably should have, but of course it wasn't my responsibility. So when I report to work at the ACE, or at the skiff, those two soldiers are frantically looking through AR 670-1, which is the wear of the uniform and how to maintain your appearance all on duty. Well, they get to the page for grooming their hair and everything else, and they're like, yep, see, it says here natural colors, our hairs are natural colors, but I'm like, yeah, but I don't think the glowing effect is what is in that AR 670-1. So they go to their appointed meetings with the first sergeant. I don't know what happened. Neither one divulged what was said. And the next day on a Tuesday, it was still the same hair color, but it was duller finally. I don't know what happened. I don't know what they did, because their girlfriends had dyed their hair, and their girlfriends were also in the same unit with us. So it was kind of a interplatoonal, massacre, as I would probably put it. Just a headache. So about 2 or 3 days after this incident, same week, PFC walks through the door of the skiff, and I'm by the copier. So I turn to look to see who's entering the skiff. He pulls his hat off. Shiny black hair and trails of dye running down his forehead and a couple other places. Young, impressionable soldier. I go, PFC, can't remember what his name was. I said, that will be gone by tomorrow. Or you and I are going to go to the first sergeant, and I'm going to tell the first sergeant that I'm taking you to the barber, and you're going to get a high and tight. So take care of it tonight, or that is what is happening tomorrow. And I mean by tomorrow PT. Because if not, then that's what's going to happen. I said, I just got in trouble for 2 others this week. It was taken care of the following day. I think he got most of his hair cut off overnight and scrubbed the dye trails off his forehead. Young, impressionable soldiers. When I first got to Fort Stewart, there was this Sergeant First Class who was in the process of retiring. He retired probably more than midway or before midway of my 3-year tour there. And he got retired and then came back the following week as a contractor for one of the other systems, not mine, which was good. Bear was his nickname, and he went by that when he retired. He is black. I've already mentioned that Sergeant Toothpick and Specialist Gardner from my funeral detail, that they are also black. I have a few other black soldiers and a couple females too. So one day I was standing by the infamous copier again, and I think Bear was inside or on his way inside or something like that, and Sergeant Toothpick was on his way out, and Bear greeted him. He goes, "Hey, Sergeant N-word." And Sergeant Toothpick goes, "Hey, Bear N-word." And Specialist Gardner was on his way in or out too, and Bear looked at Specialist Gardner, and basically said, "Hey, Specialist N." And as I said, Gardner, I did not know it at this time, was headed for OCS, and so Gardner, with his good military bearing and proper education, knew that that kind of language was not tolerated, so he did not respond in kind. I don't know if he had a talk with Bear by himself or not. So, after hearing that, I was like, I got young impressionable soldiers, and this is like right after the hair situation, and I'm like, I got more than one impressionable soldier. I got a whole squad of them almost. They can't be hearing this language. So I asked Bear if I could talk to him privately a couple days later, a few days later, I don't know, maybe a week later. And I said, "Bear," I said, "you were a Sergeant First Class in the Army." He goes, "Yes." I said, "You know that the N-word is not tolerable." And he goes, "Well, I'm a civilian now, so I can talk the way I want to. But you're talking to my troops." He goes, "Yes." He says, "I'm talking to my brothers." And I said, "What happens when one of my white or Hispanic young impressionable soldiers says the same in kind?" "Well, I'm going to have them brought up on charges." And I said, "That's a double standard." "Well, when I use it and when my brothers use it, we're using it in a friendly manner, and these guys will be using it in the offensive manner." I said, "Even if they're just greeting you the same way that you just greeted Sergeant Toothpick?" He goes, "Yes." I said, "Bear, you know better. That's a double standard." He goes, "Look, Staff Sergeant, I don't care. I'm a civilian now. I'm going to talk the way I want to." So I lost, or his integrity that I had of him, gone. He never earned it back. Like I said, he was a good Sergeant First Class in the military. He was a wonderful storyteller. He had lots of knowledge. Plus, he had just, had worked there previously before getting out and coming back as a civilian. So he knew people and places and things that sometimes I needed to know. So after that talk, I didn't take it up further. I was contemplating going to the First Sergeant. But then again, it's like, well, where's your evidence, Staff Sergeant? Because First Sergeant could call Bear in, and Bear says, "No, I never talk like that." So he could, I don't know what he could tell the First Sergeant. So he could lie about it, or if he confessed, I don't know what would happen. Because once again, I'm a civilian. I'm not in the military anymore, and I'll talk the way I want to. So, like I said, integrity of Bear, gone. Never went to him again for a problem, for a person, place, or thing on base. And I was just thankful that he wasn't in charge or the fixer guy for any of the equipment that belonged to me at that time. Like I said, it was gone. Bye-bye. So that's all I got for this thing. Just those two stories. Yeah, I really got upset towards the end too, because my last non-commissioned officer evaluation report, NCOER, made me look like I walked on water. I said, boy, I could have stood this one when I was going up for the boards, because like I said, when I went to the boards, it was 2101. And I never met except for the one female and of the two. I never met any of the other three guys because I came across some sergeant first classes later on, and I said, when did you make it? And they were in none of those year groups that I was going through at the same time. So that's it. Chief out. Remember, freedom's not free. Thank a vet, hug a vet, buy a vet dinner, buy him breakfast, buy him lunch, especially if he's homeless. There are a lot of homeless vets. I see them here in San Antonio. Sometimes they're begging for money. Sometimes they're just begging for food. So remember, freedom's not free. Chief out.